Alright, football fans. For decades, it's been a tradition for championship-winning teams from major American sports leagues to visit the White House to celebrate their title with the President of the United States. However, in recent years, this tradition has sometimes become intertwined with political discussions and player choice, leading to moments where not all members of a championship team choose to attend. That was the case this week, as the Philadelphia Eagles visited the White House to celebrate their Super Bowl championship, but did so without their Super Bowl MVP quarterback, Jalen Hurts. The Philadelphia Eagles visited the White House on Monday to commemorate their victory in the Super Bowl, where they defeated the Kansas City Chiefs. The team was welcomed and celebrated by President Donald Trump. However, one of the most significant figures from their championship season, quarterback Jalen Hurts, was notably absent from the ceremony. Jalen Hurts, who was the Super Bowl MVP for his stellar performance in the win, did not join his teammates for the White House visit. While Hurts himself did not publicly address the reason for his absence or why he opted out of the ceremony, White House officials, when asked about Hurts not being there, cited scheduling conflicts as the reason. This is a common explanation given when athletes or public figures skip such events, whether the conflict is genuinely due to scheduling or other personal or political reasons. This visit marks a return to a tradition that was somewhat disrupted during President Trump's first term in office. In those years, several otherwise routine championship visits to the White House did not take place, either because teams declined invitations were rescinded, or individual athletes simply chose not to attend, often citing discomfort being associated with the Trump administration and its policies at the time. The Philadelphia Eagles, in fact, were one of the teams involved in such an incident during President Trump's first term. Following their Super Bowl championship after the 2017 season, the Eagles had planned a White House visit in 2018. However, that visit was ultimately canceled by President Trump. This cancellation occurred amidst reports that several Eagles players from that championship team were planning to skip the visit, reportedly due to discomfort with President Trump's previous criticism of NFL players protesting for social justice reform during the national anthem. Trump had made strong comments about players who protested, suggesting they should be fired, after news emerged that the Eagles were planning to send a reduced contingent of players due to opt-outs. President Trump rescinded the team's invitation, and the White House held its own separate ceremony instead of hosting the team. Given that history, Eagles owner Jeffrey Lurie addressed the team's decision to visit President Trump's White House this time around during a news conference on April 1. Lurie stated that, to be celebrated at the White House is a good thing, and indicated that the special circumstances back then that were very different, making this visit kind of an obvious choice they were looking forward to, allowing the team to get the experience they missed in 2018. Importantly, Lurie also told reporters that attendance for the visit was entirely optional for players. He said their team culture dictates that these are optional things, stating, "If you want to enjoy this, come along and we'll have a great time, and if you don't, it is totally an optional thing." This stance from ownership allowed players to make their own decisions about whether to attend. Jalen Hurts himself had been asked about his potential attendance the week before the visit but declined to give a definitive answer, stating he was non-committal at the time. Putting Hurts' absence into broader context, he is not the first Super Bowl winning quarterback, or even star athlete, to miss a White House celebration. Notably, Tom Brady, widely considered the greatest quarterback of all time, missed multiple trips to the White House after winning Super Bowls with the New England Patriots. Brady did not attend the Patriots' visit to the Trump White House after the 2016 season Super Bowl win, and the planned visit after their 2018 season win was, as mentioned, canceled. Brady also missed a visit with President Barack Obama in 2015. Citing a scheduling conflict he had been planning for months. Though he did attend other White House celebrations earlier in his career and later visited President Joe Biden after winning a Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. While citing scheduling conflicts as a common reason given for missing these events, it's clear that star quarterbacks, like other athletes, have exercised their choice regarding attendance over the years, for various stated or unstated reasons. Despite Jalen Hurts' absence, more than 40 members of the Eagles team were present for the ceremony on Monday, including owner Jeffrey Lurie, head coach Nick Sirianni, and other key players like Lane Johnson and Cooper DeJean. They presented President Trump with an autographed helmet. Key figures like Lurie, Sirianni, and Lane Johnson also spoke briefly at the podium during the ceremony, each notably declaring, "Go Birds." One prominent player who did attend and was highlighted was running back Saquon Barkley. As we discussed previously, Barkley had spent the Sunday before the visit playing golf with President Trump and flew with him to Washington, D.C. Barkley was visibly present at the ceremony, standing near the presidential podium, shaking hands with President Trump, and President Trump spoke glowingly about Barkley during his speech, referencing his 2024 season that earned him NFL Offensive Player of the Year honors. Interestingly, while President Trump did not mention Jalen Hurts' absence during his speech, he did note Hurts' signature goal line play, the tush push. In conclusion, while the Philadelphia Eagles continued the tradition of celebrating their Super Bowl championship at the White House, their Super Bowl MVP quarterback Jalen Hurts opted not to attend, with officials citing scheduling conflicts. This decision is particularly notable given the history of the team's canceled visit in 2018 amidst tensions over player protests and owner Lurie's stance that attendance was optional. Hurts joins a list of other star quarterbacks who have missed these visits for various reasons, while other key players like Saquon Barkley were visibly present and engaged. Hurts' absence is a significant detail that underscores the continued complexity and individual player choice involved in the intersection of sports, politics, and high-profile White House championship celebrations. Alright, the Philadelphia Eagles took their Super Bowl championship celebration to the nation's capital on Monday, visiting the White House to be honored by President Donald Trump. But one key player was notably absent from the ceremony: Super Bowl MVP quarterback Jalen Hurts. White House officials stated that Jalen Hurts did not attend the visit due to scheduling conflicts. Hurts himself did not publicly offer a specific reason for his absence. The Eagles' visit marked a return to a tradition for championship sports teams visiting the White House under President Trump, following recent visits by teams like the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Ohio State football team. This is significant because several planned White House visits by championship teams did not happen during Trump's first term, often due to teams or individual athletes choosing to decline the invitation, sometimes over political disagreements, particularly related to player protests during the national anthem. The Eagles themselves were involved in one of these instances. Their planned visit in 2018 after their 2017 Super Bowl win was ultimately canceled after multiple players reportedly planned to skip the event, and President Trump subsequently rescinded the team's invitation. Eagles owner Jeffrey Lurie had addressed the decision to visit the White House this year back in early April. He stated that being celebrated at the White House is a good thing, and that the circumstances surrounding this visit were very different compared to 2018. Lurie also emphasized that player attendance was entirely optional, stating clearly, quote, "Our culture is that these are optional things. If you want to enjoy this, come along and we'll have a great time, and if you don't, it is totally an optional thing." More than 40 members of the Eagles organization were present for Monday's ceremony, including head coach Nick Sirianni and owner Jeffrey Lurie, who both spoke at the podium. Star running back Saquon Barkley, who had played golf with President Trump the day before, was a prominent figure during the visit, standing near the podium and receiving praise from the president. President Trump even made a reference to Jalen Hurts' signature tush-push play during his remarks. Despite Hurts not being in attendance, Jalen Hurts had previously declined to publicly state whether he would attend the White House visit when asked by reporters last week. His absence on Monday, attributed to cited scheduling conflicts, added a layer of discussion and intrigue to the Eagles' championship celebration at the White House, particularly given the team's history with a canceled visit during President Trump's first term.